Okay, stop. Just stop whatever you're doing. Put the phone down. Turn off the TV. I am not exaggerating when I say what I am about to tell you will redefine everything you thought you knew about the world of reality television drama. I'm talking seismic shifts. I'm talking alliances shattered, secrets ripped from the shadows, and a twist so audacious, so utterly heartbreaking and infuriating, that it will make every other show look like a quiet Sunday picnic. Welcome. You are here, on the absolute front line, for the collapse of a modern-day fairy tale. The title you saw? Everything is over. That wasn't clickbait. That is the official obituary for one of the most tumultuous, talked-about relationships in recent memory, Shekina and Sarper. But that's just the headline. The story is a labyrinth of deception, a shocking remarriage plot that will leave you speechless, and the devastating exposure of Rick's darkest secrets. This isn't just an episode, this is a 3-act tragedy played out in real time, and you, right now, have a front row seat. So, take a breath. Get comfortable. Because we are about to dive deep. Let's rewind, just a bit. To set the stage. Shekinah and Sarper. From the very beginning, it was a relationship built on intense, almost frantic passion. It was fire and gasoline, spectacular to watch, but everyone, and I mean everyone watching at home, was just waiting for the explosion. We saw the control. We saw the jealousy. We saw Shekinah's fierce independence constantly brushing up against Sarper's particular worldview. It was a power struggle disguised as a love story. For months, the narrative was, can they make it work? They fought, they made up, they fought harder. The cycle was exhausting just to witness. But in the last few weeks, something changed. The fights lost their heat. That's not a good sign, people. When a fiery relationship goes cold? That's the real danger. It wasn't about passion anymore, it was about silence. It was about Shekinah's eyes, once full of defiant fire, now just looking, tired. Resigned. She started pulling away, not with a dramatic slam, but with a quiet, steady retreat. And Sarper? He seemed to double down. The grand gestures felt more desperate. The declarations of ownership, of I know what's best for you, felt less like love and more like a last-ditch effort to maintain control over a narrative that was slipping through his fingers. The audience could feel it. The tension was no longer, will they or won't they fight? It became, when will she finally break free? Then, the incident. The one that broke the internet. It wasn't a leaked video. It wasn't a third party. It was something deceptively simple, a planned joint appearance that Shekinah did not attend. Alone on the stage, Sarper tried to spin it, she's not feeling well, we're stronger than ever. But his body language was a masterpiece of panic. The micro-expressions, the too quick smiles, the way his eyes darted to the exits. He was a man reading a eulogy for a relationship that was still, technically, breathing. Meanwhile, Shekinah's social media went dark. Not a peep. In the world of reality TV, silence is the loudest scream of all. The blogs went wild. Trouble in paradise. Is it finally over? But we were all still in the dark. Until, the sit-down. The final interview, Shekinah, alone. No dramatic makeup, just her, raw and real. The interviewer asked the softest, most obvious question, how are things with you and Sarper? And she didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just let out this sigh that seemed to carry the weight of the entire universe. And she said, and I quote, it's done. Everything is over. Not just the arguments, not just the show. Everything. She spoke with a finality that was chilling. She talked about losing herself, about realizing that love shouldn't feel like a daily negotiation for your own soul. She said the word control not with anger, but with a sad, clinical detachment, as if diagnosing a fatal disease. She revealed he had given her an ultimatum, to fall in line completely with his vision for their life, a life that included a whirlwind remarriage plan to lock things down, or walk away. And she chose to walk. No fanfare. no last chance reunion. Just a quiet, unwavering, no more. The production was stunned. Sarper was reportedly blindsided. But anyone truly watching? We saw it coming from a mile away. Shekinah didn't just end a relationship, she closed the book on a whole chapter of her life defined by drama. And that should have been the story. The powerful woman walking away. But in this twisted saga, that was merely the prelude. Because when one vault door slams shut, another one, filled with even darker secrets, bursts open. Enter Rick. Sarper's confidant. The voice of reason in the background. The guy who was always there with a supportive arm around Sarper's shoulder, nodding along, offering seemingly sage advice. The loyal friend in the trenches. It was all a lie. A meticulously constructed facade. The exposure didn't come from a rival. It didn't come from a producer. It came, ironically, from the fallout of Shekinah's departure. In the chaotic, blame-shifting aftermath, Sarper's inner circle turned on itself. And a source, a person with direct access to Rick's private world, finally broke their silence. And what they delivered wasn't gossip. It was a documentary's worth of deception. Secret 1, the financial web. Rick, it turns out, wasn't just a friend offering moral support. He was Sarper's primary financial, let's call it architect. And that architecture was built on quicksand. We're talking about undisclosed debts, high-risk investments made in Sarper's name that Rick himself profited from, and a series of loans from Sarper to Rick that were never, ever going to be repaid. This wasn't friendship, it was financial parasitism. Rick was allegedly using Sarper's public profile and cash flow to fund a lifestyle and business ventures that were perpetually on the brink of collapse. He wasn't propping Sarper up, he was bleeding him dry, all while playing the loyal lieutenant. Secret 2, the manipulation playbook. This is where it gets truly sinister. Our source provided screenshots, voice memos, a digital paper trail. Rick wasn't just listening to Sarper's fears about Shekinah, he was fueling them. When Sarper expressed a reasonable concern, Rick would amplify it into a conspiracy. She's not just independent, buddy, she's planning her exit strategy. Her friends aren't looking out for her, they're poisoning her against you. He positioned himself as the only one telling the hard truth, isolating Sarper further, making him more dependent, more volatile. Why? Because a stable, happy Sarper in a healthy relationship wouldn't need Rick. But a paranoid, embattled Sarper, at war with his partner? That Sarper needed his only real friend constantly. Rick was manufacturing the drama to maintain his position and relevance. Secret 3, the ultimate betrayal, the remarriage twist. This is the bomb. The one that changes everything. You remember Shekinah mentioning Sarper's push for a quick remarriage? The ultimatum? That wasn't just Sarper's idea. According to the evidence, it was Rick's master plan. The timeline is shocking. Months ago, Rick allegedly sat down with Sarper and laid out a cynical, calculated strategy. In his view, the public's interest was waning. They were becoming just another bickering couple. They needed a reset, a monumental, headline-grabbing event. And that event was to be a lavish, televised remarriage ceremony. Not because their love was renewed, but because it was great for the brand. Rick even had sponsors lined up, a network deal in the works. This was to be a transactional, made-for-TV spectacle. He convinced Sarper that this grand gesture would not only win Shekinah back but would also cement their status as the it couple for years to come, unlocking millions. He sold it as a business decision disguised as a romantic grand gesture. The love was secondary, the content was primary. And the most heartbreaking part? The source suggests that in Shekinah's quieter moments, when she expressed doubt about this rushed remarriage, Rick was in Sarper's ear, telling him it was just cold feet, that she needed to be convinced that the show, and the money, must go on. He was actively pushing for a union he knew was fundamentally broken, all for a payday and a rating spike. When Shekinah finally said no, she didn't just ruin a relationship plan. She blew up a business plan. Rick's business plan. And in his rage over that collapse, the walls finally caved in on him. Let that sink in. This man, painted as the loyal friend, was allegedly a puppet master. He saw a relationship not as a bond between two people, but as a revenue stream. He saw heartache as a plot point. He saw a wedding as a season finale. The emotional devastation left in his wake? Just collateral damage. Shekinah wasn't just escaping a controlling partner, she was escaping the toxic ecosystem Rick had built around that partner. And the fallout? Nuclear. Sarper, we are told, is reeling. Not just from the loss of Shekinah, but from the shattering realization that his closest ally was a fox in the henhouse. The humiliation is layered, publicly dumped and privately played for a fool. His entire support system, built on Rick's lies, has evaporated. He is, by all accounts, completely alone. And Rick? He's gone to ground. No statements. No denials. His social media is a ghost town. The lawyers, we hear, are circling. But the evidence, as presented by our source, is damning. It paints a portrait of a character so calculating, so devoid of genuine loyalty, that it recontextualizes every single moment we've seen over the past season. Every comforting word, every piece of advice, now looks like a move on a chessboard. So where does this leave us? In the wreckage of two shattered narratives. For Shekinah, there is a painful but clear path forward: healing. She got out. She chose herself. In the end, her intuition, the one everyone told her to ignore, was right. She is free of the relationship and the sinister influence that was poisoning it from the sidelines. Her journey now is one of rediscovery. And the public? They are rallying behind her. The narrative has flipped from "why is she so difficult" to "thank God she got out." For Sarper, it's a far murkier, darker road. He is now the villain who is also a victim. The controller who was himself controlled. The court of public opinion is ruthless. There is little sympathy for his role in the relationship's dysfunction, but there is a stunned acknowledgement of the scale of the betrayal he suffered. His future is a huge question mark. Can he come back from this? Does he even want to? Or will this double blow send him into a permanent retreat from the public eye? And for Rick? If the allegations hold, his reputation is ash. Not just in this circle, but in the entire reality TV ecosystem. Who would ever trust him again? This isn't just being a bad friend, this is career-ending, reputation-annihilating malpractice of human decency. But the biggest question of all hangs in the air, haunting every frame of this saga. How many more Ricks are out there? This has exposed the dark underbelly of fabricated reality. We watch these shows for the drama, but we cling to the hope that some of the emotions are real. Rick's alleged actions suggest a terrifying possibility, that there are operators behind the scenes who see human emotion as nothing more than clay to be molded, storylines to be engineered, and bank accounts to be filled. Where do we draw the line? When does producing a show become orchestrating a human life? Shekinah's "everything is over" wasn't just a statement about her relationship. It feels like the end of an era of our own naivete. We can no longer watch these shows with the same innocent eyes. We will be looking for the puppet masters in the shadows, questioning every tear, every grand gesture, every reunion. The trust is broken, not just between the players on screen, but between the show and its audience. So what do we do with this? We bear witness. We remember Shekinah's courage. We scrutinize the narratives fed to us. And we demand better. Reality TV will never be truly real, but it shouldn't be a hunting ground for emotional predators like Rick allegedly was. This story, it's a cautionary tale for the ages. It's about the price of fame, the fragility of trust, and the incredible strength it takes to walk away from a gilded cage, even when you don't yet know who holds the key. The screen may have gone dark on Shekinah and Sarper's love story, but the lights have just been turned on, blindingly bright, on the ugly machinery that tried to keep it running long after its heart had stopped beating. And with that, I need a moment. We all do. This has been a lot. Stay vigilant. question everything. And I'll see you next time.